welcome to Casually Dressed Deep Conversation with me, Greg Chalmers. CDDC is brought to you by Pizza Daddy, Lanarkshire's #1 American-style pizza parlour. To stay up to date on new flavours and daily promotions and get connected on the socials, the Instagram handle is @RealPizzaDaddy. The website is www.thepizzadaddy.co.uk, and on Facebook, search for Real Pizza Daddy. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, our guest is Scotland's first female world champion boxer and, incidentally, a classically trained musician, Hannah Rankin. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. It's a beautiful day today.
Yeah, actually same in London. Pretty good down here as well.
It's a good day to be locked in your house.
Aye, of course.
So how has your lockdown been so far?
It's been fine, you know, like I'm one of those people, I like to have routine in my life, so I've been pretty keen on trying to keep a steady routine going. Like I try and have a normal wake up time, and I have weekends as weekends, you know, like instead of like just constantly doing a bit of work here and there all the way through. I think that's really helped. But yeah, no, I'm going mad. I was hoping to fight in America in May, and obviously that wasn't going to happen now, and so I've not got a fight date booked in the diary, and that's really strange for me because I'm super active.
Yeah. So am I right in saying you've had 13 pro fights?
Yeah.
Busy.
Yeah, of course.
It's a hard business knocking folk clean out.
Exactly.
So basically, off camera, before we started, I had mentioned that I'd looked at your Wikipedia page, and it is the strangest opening line where it says professional boxer and bassoon player. So the two of these things, being like a classically trained musician and a professional fighter, seem to be polar opposites to each other. But I kind of think, having sort of pondered on it a wee bit, that there are probably more similarities in it than you would first expect. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, most people think that I'm absolutely nuts. Like, as in, I'm two completely different people. Like, I might be bipolar. Like, I have one personality for one thing and one for the other. But actually, for me, they make a lot of sense. You know, when you're in the boxing ring, you're there. You're an entertainer. You're there to put on a performance. Obviously, it's a fight and it's a sport, but as well, you're also there to entertain fans. And it's exactly the same being a musician. You're on stage to entertain people and put on a show. So those two aspects of it really kind of fit together well for me. It's just like being under the lights, but I'm in the boxing ring, or being under the lights and I'm on stage. Same sort of thing. You get that same sort of kind of like buzz as well, the excitement and the adrenaline sort of thing. So yeah.
I find it kind of hard to take in that it's the same buzz playing the bassoon than it is getting punching somebody in the face.
Well, okay. Well, so I've played the bassoon. So I started music from a really young age. I started on the piano. I was terrible at that. It just wasn't the instrument for me. My sisters were better, but I was never that great. And then I went on to the flute, and then a bassoon was donated to my school, and so I probably started that about the age of 15.
Can I just quickly interject? Was that Luss Primary?
I was at Luss Primary, yes. So I was at Luss Primary, but I started the bassoon at Hermitage Academy, which I think we have in common.
Incidentally, where I was miseducated.
Like I said earlier, I'm glad we both survived it.
I know. I mean, you went to the horrible old school, didn't you? The one that was looked like a 70s Russian prison.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There was one day when I was there walking along and a window actually fell out.
I remember that day.
Second floor. Yeah, you remember that?
It was like when the winds were all going. I was sitting
and the window just came out.
Yeah, I was sitting in Mr. Urquhart's French class, sitting there pretending that I was going to be learning how to speak French, and the thing just came out and flew.
Yeah, I was outside.
All right. See, I knew there was a connection there. I knew it comes from somewhere. Anyway, sorry, I've totally interrupted you.
So yeah, I started the bassoon at 15, and then that kind of shaped my whole career. I decided that I was going to become a professional musician. I really took to the instrument, and then I went straight on to the Royal. At the time, it was the RSAMD in Glasgow. Now it's the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. Yes. So I went there to study, did my undergraduate, and then I moved down south to London to do my masters at the Royal Academy of Music. And like all the way through that, I did some amazing things. Like I travelled around the world. I played with orchestras in loads of different countries. Those are cool places. And there is a real adrenaline buzz to like when you're in an orchestra and you're playing a piece of music and everybody's nailing it, and you just know it's so on point, and like you kind of get that kind of buzz. And afterwards, it's like 120 of you have managed to get something perfect, and the audience love it, and it gives you a real high. And it's the same sort of thing in boxing. You know, I'll get in there, and you start to like get one over on your opponent, and you know you're just starting to figure them out, and it all starts to flow. It's the same kind of thing.
So, when did you think, do you know what? I'm going to give boxing a go.
So it wasn't totally random, I must admit.
Right.
So when I was a kid, I did taekwondo.
Okay.
Me and my sister. First time I started that was in Helensburgh, actually, when I was young, and then went over to Dunbar, and then I was up in Clydebank, and I did that right up until a few off my black belt. I was a few off that, and then obviously when I went into music, my mum was like, no more fighting, because obviously you want to protect your hands and stuff. Like, I'm sure she made us do taekwondo just because she was trying to stop us fighting with each other. I've got two younger sisters, so like I'm sure of that. Like, but so I gave up on that, and then at the end of my undergraduate in Glasgow, I wanted to get fit again, and it's a well-known fact that I'm not a lover of like standard gym stuff. You know, like when you go to the gym, you get on the treadmill, then you think, oh, what am I going to do next? I get on the row machine for a little bit, and then I might lift that weight for a few seconds, and then I go home. You know, it's like not my scene at all. So I got back into Thai boxing at the Grip House in Glasgow.
Oh, right, okay, I know it, yeah.
Yeah, they were doing Thai boxing and circuits there. And then I moved down to London, and I continued doing some Thai boxing at Gym Box, and then I met my coach, Noel Callan, and he introduced me to boxing, and I really got involved with it. So I probably was about the age of 22 when I started boxing, like real late.
That's
after
quite
boxing
late,
classes.
isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was doing some boxing for like white collar fights. That's when I first did my first few fights to raise money for charity. Like I lost my mum to cancer, so I raised money for some charity doing white collar fights. And that was about the same time that when she passed away, I got into the boxing. It was a real sort of like release for me, and something that I could do that wasn't music and associated with her. So then I really kind of went into it, and the next kind of couple of years later I decided to go professional, which is a bit mad.
I mean, yeah, it is extremely mad. So did you have any, so you were saying the white collar fights, is that like amateur fighting?
No, so white collar boxing is unlicensed boxing. So
street fighting
could do it. Yeah, not a Saturday night in Glasgow. Right, it's a little bit. It's got a few more like rules.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So basically, anybody can do it. It was set up for like businessmen in the city when they wanted to have a go at having a boxing match.
Okay.
So you do 3 2-minute rounds. You train for like 8 weeks or something, and you go in against somebody who's about as bad as you are, and you have a fight basically. You got massive gloves on, a big head guard, and it's a great challenge if you want to try it out. Obviously, for people who do it more than once, you obviously have levels of ability in the white collar scene. And I got to the stage where I turned up for one of my fights, and the girl just wasn't there. I walked out to my ring music into the ring, and she just wasn't there. Like she just hadn't showed up for the fight.
Ah, right, okay. I thought you meant she was like hiding underneath the ring.
Nah, she just hadn't even turned up.
Wow.
So that's when I decided I wanted to take it to the next level, and that's when I could have gone down the amateur route. So and then I could join an amateur boxing club, and my coach suggested that, and I was like, well, I'm happy training with you.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I don't have an amateur license, and I was like, well, what can I do next? He's like, well, you can go pro, but we have to see how good you are. So it took me to spar with some of the pro fighters at the time. And then, the first time I did it, it was bloody terrible. It was the most it was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. But I came out and I wanted to know why and do it better. So every time I went back in, I got better and better. And that's how I improved so quickly, trained with some of the best people in the world. And you learn quick.
Yeah, well, I can imagine. Yeah, you can put through your paces. Because I was going to ask you if you had ever thought about going down the Olympic way, you know, like Nicola Adams and all that. And
well, I think like for the Olympics thing, most of those people who are in it have been training boxing since they're like the age of 12. They've gone through the amateur boxing system. They've had so many amateur fights, and then they've passed all of the sort of like competitions within the UK and all that sort of thing, and then they get picked for the podium team.
Right.
And by the time I was boxing, I was already too old to be picked for like the podium team.
All right.
So, like it wasn't really like even if I had been good enough to do it, it wasn't an opportunity for me. And also like my style is just not really suited to that style of boxing at all. I'm more of a professional style fighter than I am an amateur boxer.
Right. Okay. I
like a fight.
Yeah, that's like a square go. Just
yeah,
a square go. That's like, you know, it's I'm what you would probably call a casual boxing fan.
Yeah.
However, since we knew that you were going to come on, I've been like watching a hell of a lot of boxing, like YouTube, because I think because everyone's in lockdown, Sky have just released tons of fights. And
yeah, well, what you should do is get on my social media because every morning I'm doing a boxing with your breakfast.
I saw this. It's like old
and
school
I put
fights.
a fight up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put a fight up that people should watch, or ones that I particularly love, or ones that were recommended to me. And like, I'm an absolute geek. I absolutely love to watch all the old school fights, and also it's like the atmosphere is amazing in some of them, and some just amazing fighters. So I put it up, and you can watch it, and it's on my Facebook, my pro page.
Because I was watching Prince Nazim.
Ah, yes.
What a guy he was.
That's what I mean. It's like I always say, boxing's like 50% sport, but 50% entertainment.
Yeah.
People buy into it because they want to buy into your character, your story, what you're like, and like he was just an absolute. Yeah, Joker. But he was amazing. No one else could do that.
No, I mean, it was how fast he was, man.
Yeah.
And he was like throwing punches like from like obscene angles. He's like, all right.
I know.
And then
no one else can do that.
Nah.
It's really, yeah.
But then when you watch, so you had his style, and then I watched the Josh Taylor Prograis fight. And that's almost like nearly a different sport, like because they're like into each other, like pushing each other with a shoulder and all that. And I'm like,
but I mean, Josh Taylor, I love Josh Taylor. He's brilliant.
I know, man. I tell you what, watching that fight, the first couple of rounds, I thought that Prograis guy was getting on top, but then Josh Taylor just took it up a notch, and I thought he was excellent. Mind you, he had the eye to show for it at the end.
Yeah, it was an absolute war, but like one of those fights which everyone will remember as being epic, absolutely epic.
So, who would you say your toughest opponent's been?
Well, I think I'd probably say my toughest opponent to date would be Clarissa Shields, seeing as she's currently probably one of the best female fighters on the planet, and is probably going to go down as one of the greatest of all time. I ended up taking that fight because at the time I'd been training with Christina Hamer, who she was meant to be fighting to unify the middleweight titles.
Okay.
So I've been training with her, and Christina got sick, and nobody else was taking the fight. So I was like, I'll take the fight. Why not? I'll take the fight.
Yes. Was it that quick a decision? Was it literally like, well, fail?
Yeah. Basically, what people have come to kind of know about me is that I'll fight anyone, anywhere. I don't mind. I'm not bothered, you know. I went into boxing. I didn't go in there to have an undefeated record of like Floyd, 50-0. You know, I didn't do that. I went into boxing to take every single opportunity that was given to me and like experience as much as I possibly could because I came late to the sport. Mm-hmm. So like, if I can put myself in there with some of the world's top level fighters, and even at sometimes when I win, you know, like that's the best.
Actually,
I wouldn't want to change that.
There's something else. I came across something in an article, and it had said something about you calling out Cyborg.
Oh yeah, recently I did that as well. Well, she says she wants to come to the boxing ring, so she's talking about fighting Cecilia Brackhouse. Now Brackhouse is tied up for the next 3 fights. She's got to fight JD Mack, then she's got the winner of Serrano and Taylor. Mm-hmm. So she's going to be busy for ages. And like Cyborg wants to come apparently to the boxing ring, and I was like, I'm up for it, I'm down. So I said, why not?
Amazing.
Oh yeah, Brazil versus Scotland, get in.
She is she's a warrior, man.
Yeah.
Her ground game is,
Yeah, her ground game's great. Yeah, but she's only allowed to throw hands. So.
Would you ever go into the octagon?
So this is something that I get asked quite a lot, actually. Well, obviously, having started with kind of like a kicking sport and then doing Thai, I also most people don't know, but I do some jiu-jitsu as well. So like I've covered most of all three of the bases, you know. So for me, I think it'd be quite an interesting challenge and something fun to do. But I don't want to be the person to tell my dad that I'm doing that.
Oh, would
So
he not
like,
approve?
probably not.
But there's so much more money in MMA.
Yeah, exactly. And like for me, like I think it would suit me massively. Like I really enjoy it. It's just a fight at the end of the day. Why not? But you know, like I think trying to explain to my dad why I'm going to go into the octagon and like throw elbows at someone's head, he might not take that so well.
Just go just fan the 20s in his face. Look, Dad, this is why.
I'll just be like, Dad, don't watch the TV.
Dad, don't watch the TV, and I'll buy you a new car tomorrow.
Aye.
So
that's the best thing about the UFC though, because like some of the top, the best always fight the best.
Yes.
Like it's none of like in boxing, there's a lot of maneuvering around, and people, some people fighting, some people not. Like I said, I'll fight anybody, anytime, but there's politics involved.
Yeah.
Whereas in the UFC is if you're the best and you're second best, you're fighting.
Yeah.
And that's what's really cool about it, and that's why it's exciting all the time.
I think with boxing as well, there's so many different governing bodies.
Yeah.
There is a lot of that. Oh, you've got. It's like you were saying, the politics of it. Whereas MMA, you've basically just got Bellator and UFC.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Then anyone else
just get involved.
Yeah, get involved. Because I actually, do you know, I think you would. Because I watched some bits and pieces of you fighting. I agree. I think you would be good at MMA, man.
Well, I love jiu-jitsu. I love being on the mat. I love like the whole chess game of it. I think it's great. But then also, I love being able to punch someone in the face. It's gotta be the best part. So like, I don't know what's not to like about that. You get to do both those things, you know.
I love punching someone in the face. Yeah, I mean,
well,
it's not a normal thing to say, really, is it? I just love punching people in the face. So it gets me out of bed in the morning. Can't beat it. Right, so let's get more cultured here. Okay. So being a pro fighter, right, takes a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
How do you balance your time between that and being a musician? And because you teach and stuff like that, you teach the singing.
Yeah. So basically, as I think most female fighters will tell you, you can't actually cover the costs of. You can't just be a full-time female fighter unless you're really lucky. Like you have to. Like we just don't earn enough money for that to be a thing unless you're fully sponsored by some people or. You know, you're at the very, very top of your game and you're just sitting up there at the top. You know, most female fighters will subsidize their income with another job. So my music is my other job.
Ah, right. Okay, cool. It's just quite a cool other job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool job. But like, I get to play with orchestras in and around London. I've traveled the world playing my instrument. At the moment, I have a wind quintet and we do a lot of work for a company called Live Music Now. And they take... basically groups like my group, the Coriolis Quintet, we go into like care homes to play to people who are living with dementia and Alzheimer's. And we do stuff in schools as well with kids, especially ones who have special like learning difficulties and stuff like that. So it's really rewarding and it's a part of my job I would never give up. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, that. Bless you. That's lovely.
Thanks.
That is cool, man. So
I think like you were saying about the time management thing. So like as a musician, I've had to manage my time really well because when I was in college and stuff, you know, you're trying to get 6 hours a day practicing plus all the rest of the stuff that you're doing. Like up to 6 hours of playing is getting involved. So you got to be good at managing your time. So I just took that same sort of like dedication and discipline across into my boxing. Also, if you ask my coach or ask anybody who knows me, I'm like totally hyperactive.
Okay.
So I'm not the kind of person who's going to sit still. So I need loads of things to be doing all the time, otherwise I get really bored.
So, am I right in saying that is Gary Jacobs in your corner?
Aye. Yeah, he is.
Right, I've got a story about Gary Jacobs. I met Gary Jacobs when I was 8.
Really?
Yeah. So, you know the Crown Plaza in Glasgow?
Yeah.
The hotel. So that used to be the...
I fought there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so that used to be the Moat House.
Ah, okay.
And what used to happen was, before an Old Firm game, the Rangers team used to stay in the hotel. And my parents and I used to stay in there quite a lot as well. And we used to try and time it so that I would get to meet the Rangers team. So we're in the restaurant, and I've got my wee autograph book. I've still got it. I actually tried to find it so that I could show you his autograph. But so when I do find it, I will send you a picture of it. And then so I'm going about getting the autographs, and this guy comes up to me and he's like, "Why are you wasting your time with these football players? He's like, you've got a champion."
Sounds like Gary.
No, but this was his agent.
Oh
He
man.
went, "You've got a champion boxer sitting over there." And he like took me by the hand and sat me down next to Gary. I had no idea who Gary Jacobs was. And Gary Jacobs sat there, he's like, "Are you alright, son?" And I remember going, "Hey, I'm okay. Can I get your autograph?" And yeah, Gary said, and I've still got it. Still got it. It was my first meeting with Gary Jacobs.
Yeah, no, so whenever I come home, like if Noel's not able to come back with me, I train with Gary when I'm at home. I train up at the Kinnick boxing gym with him there. Gary's great, and he's in the corner with Noel, my head trainer, and there's Gary, and then there's Richard Farnan, who's my cut man. And like Rich and Noel have been there since day dot, and Gary joined us like 4 fights ago. So like always, it's like the dream team basically.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and so, he's been there and done it all. So like
yeah,
having that sort of person in your corner is invaluable.
Yeah, he's got a wealth of experience.
Yeah, that's the way.
So, see on the lead up to a fight, how intense is the training? Because I like to think, I like working up a sweat myself, right? But seeing you watch any of these like training montage things before fights, you're like, no chance of I doing that. So, you know what I mean? Like, I tried skipping for a minute once. I swear to God, I was seeing spots. And then, not only that, but I had to stop like 4 or 5 times because I kept on hitting myself in the questionable in the area that you should have hit yourself in. So, how intense is the training?
Yeah, so like for my world title fight, I had a 10-week training camp in the lead up to it. Within that training camp, you're training twice a day, 6 days out of 7.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, you've got to fit in sparring sessions, obviously pad work and bag work with your coach. Then you've also got at least 2 strength and conditioning sessions a week, plus cardio sessions, which obviously include like running and sprints. Mm-hmm. My last fight in Glasgow, actually, I had an injury to my Achilles, so I actually had to do all my sprints on the bike. Now, if you know me, you know I hate cycling. I hate bikes. I hate cycling. No. I think it's because I got long legs. I just feel like my knees are at my ears when I'm trying to on this little bike. Like it's a horrible experience.
I think you need to get measured for a new bike.
Sprints. You try doing sprints on the bike. Yeah. The worst. So yeah, but with that, it's really intense, and obviously you've got a really strict, obviously nutritional intake. All the food you have is dead boring. Yeah. But for 10 weeks you can do it. So yeah.
Especially if you're going for something like the world title.
Yeah.
That's got to. I mean.
Yeah, my attitude towards it is, I always finish my training camps knowing that I could have given no more.
Yeah.
And I know when I go into the ring, like by doing that, I go in and I feel like I'm invincible. You know, nothing's going to be like as hard as what I've done in training for this.
So, going for the world title, man, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, if I do this, I'm making history.
Yeah.
You must be shitting yourself, man.
Yeah, my God, honestly, I've never felt so much pressure for any fight in my whole entire life. So like, I don't know, like everyone seems to say, "Oh, you're not nervous when you fight abroad." I don't care about fighting abroad. Don't care about fighting anywhere. Like, it doesn't bother me. Or you know, the fans, they're not going to be pro you, and I'm like, I don't care. Make some new fans. I don't mind. Totally. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. But fighting at home in front of all my family and my friends, or live on the BBC, and then you know everybody just watching and waiting for me to make history. Oh. and like your stomach's going, and like the most difficult part for me of the whole night was actually the walk out to the ring. All the young like girls and guys from the gym, like all the kids, they kind of gave me this guard of honor in my walkout, and they were all there. And I was just like, oh my God, you're like goosebumps, and they're all standing there, and I just felt, I better fucking do this right.
If I make an arse of this, I'll never live it down.
Exactly. So it's probably the most pressure I've ever felt fighting at home in front of a home crowd for something as big as that.
What was your walkout music?
So I worked with, do you know Ransom?
Yeah.
Ransom FA?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he walked me out. He MC'd me out to the ring.
What? That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, being a musician, I wanted to give back, so I contacted he's Scotland's top grime artist.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was like, "Hey mate, do you wanna MC me out the ring? I'm making history. Do you want to do it?" And he was like, "Yeah." So yeah,
That's
he came and he did it.
amazing.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. Suppose like AJ getting Stormzy to do it. This is like the Scotland version.
Yeah, that's the Scottish version.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. So right, so you're in the ring. At any point, was there a point in the fight when you were going for the world title you thought, "Shit, I've got this"? Like, was there a wee moment when you're like, "Christ, I'm winning.
I think so. For me, it was one of those experiences where like everything was going like really slow or really fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you're in the moment, and like when you're in the ring, and like you can feel yourself, you're landing shots. And the girl I fought against, she was super awkward. Like had a really weird style, like just really weird and proper hard to get hold of. And so like we went through 2 or 3 game plans. The first one didn't work, so the second one we went and did that, and then the third one was gonna have a street fight. That's what I did at the end. You know, like, and I remember one of the best parts of the whole entire fight was no one else would have heard this. I just heard it because I heard her say it, and I was like, I've been trying to get her to come in. You know, get her to come in. I've been pushing, and I landed a massive shot, and she went back, and her corner were like, get on your bike, go around, you know, get back the back foot. And she was like, no fucking way, I'm going forward. And she came forward, and I remember saying that, and like we just started hitting it out in the center of the ring.
Yes.
But no, people outside the ring would not have heard that, but I heard it quite clearly from her. So yeah.
When the fight's finished, you get given the belt.
Yeah.
You start thinking to yourself, well, what's next, right?
Yeah.
Because you've made history.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could just go, oh well, that's that done, right? And then, do you know what I mean? Back to the bassoon. Do you know So, I mean, how long are you planning to fight for?
So I'm not putting a date on it. I came to the sport late, so I've not got as much wear and tear as other fighters who've been doing it since 12. You know, so like for me, my body's still in pretty good physical condition. Like I'm feeling good. I've not been in too many wars, and yeah, no. So I'm quite excited about where I'm going to go. Like my sort of goal is I want to win another world title, and I would love to like unify. You know, that's what I'd love to do. But like for me, it's all about fighting the best out there. And there's some people I've not fought yet that I want to fight. So you know, it's like just taking all those opportunities and go for it. Like I turned 30 this year. Quite exciting. What I am stressed about is if I turn 30 and we're still in lockdown. What am I doing then? Having a party on my own in my room.
Yeah, you and the bassoon.
Yeah, exactly. Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Man, no.
So have you got names on a hit list? You like, I want you and I want you.
Yeah, of course. Like obviously, I want the rematch with Patricia Bergolt. She's been hiding from me since the fight we had in Malta. You know, like I lost the fight there. It wasn't my best performance. I got dropped for the first time in my career because I rushed the beginning. Yeah, I rushed the beginning. I got dropped, but the difficult thing is, you know, I didn't feel like I performed to the best, but then I feel there was a lot of things in the lead up to that fight that didn't work out well. And it's how they say, like, fighting's a mental game.
Yep. And
I didn't, like, it was a very harsh lesson to learn, but there was things that I should have changed beforehand in the lead up to that definitely impacted that fight. And I desperately want the rematch to get my belt back. Some people had me winning anyway, like, so it's one of those ones, and I fully believe I knocked her down in the fight, but it wasn't counted as a knockdown. And had it been counted,
scandal,
I would have still had my belt. So like I want the rematch, but she's hiding from me. So I've been calling her out left, right, and centre. Patricia Bergolt, where you at? Give me my belt back.
Give it back.
So yeah, I want a fight. I want a rematch with her, but at the moment she's, I don't know where she is.
Lockdown.
So I'd love to fight her. You know, there's other girls in the division though. There's Raquel Miller. She's another one I'd like to fight. Obviously, Deanna Decare. She's fighting Clarissa though, so I was offered that fight before, but it never materialized. But she's going to fight Clarissa next. I don't know what Hannah Gabriels is doing. I think she's going to be coming back soon. So don't know, but there's some great people to fight in my division. It's kind of like the hotbed at the moment. So super welterweight is where it's at.
Yeah, sounds like it. So do you know what I like about it? Do you know what I love about boxing? It's just folk slagging each other, calling each other out, just go for a square go. I love that. So you're just like, where are you? Come on out.
Well, the thing is, I've been calling her out, and I want that rematch, but I've heard nothing from her. And in my personal opinion, is if you become world champion, you better be making noise about the fact that you're world champion. There's a lot of roles and responsibilities as a world champion. You should be out there doing some great things, like trying to promote the sport for other women coming through, especially the younger generation. I hear nothing from her. So, like, you can't become a world champion and go away and hide in your country.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Shite bag.
So,
she's a shite bag.
Yeah. But we'll see. So, I know that hopefully after this lockdown thing clears itself out, I should hopefully have some fighting back in America, maybe even back here as well. So yeah, I'm just staying focused.
Is there a difference fighting here than fighting in America?
Yeah, I mean, I'm signed in America with Salita Promotions, so that's who I'm signed to. That's a promotional company out there.
Okay.
I have an American manager, Mark Taffet. He also manages Clarissa Shields as well. So we have the same manager. I'm managed by Sam Kinnock back here in Scotland. So I have the opportunity to fight in the UK, but also the opportunity to fight in America. So I'm really lucky with that situation. It's a different, like, I think the crowds in America are like, they're proper boxing geeks. They know their boxing.
Yeah.
And also over there, it's like very much you bring your kids, bring your kids to these events. So like, dads will, like in America, they take their kids to sporting events all the time. Like, so in boxing it's exactly the same, whereas over here it's slightly different. Kids do come along, but usually from a bit of an older age. Whereas when I'm over there, I'm introduced to people's kids and they're like, oh, we watched your fight and all this sort of stuff, and it's a really nice thing to see. For sure.
So do you take an active role in trying to promote boxing to the kind of younger generation coming up then?
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, you need to be a good role model as a female fighter, and like even as an ex-world champion now, I want to be a showcase to other girls that you can do this. You can come up there and you can fight for world titles, and it's not just boys that do it. There are opportunities out there, and as a female, I'm trying to raise the pay at the moment for all of us, so that when younger generation come through, they're starting to earn more like what the guys are earning. And it's starting to balance out. I do a lot of work. I work with a charity, Active Communities Network, who work with getting kids involved in sport, getting their coaching certificates as well. Which is like for kids who don't enjoy school. A lot of them actually are really great coaches and they're really good at teaching.
Yeah.
So we work a lot with them, and I actively try and promote the sport to the younger people to come through and get involved for sure.
So do you think you would ever become like the coach in that situation then?
I love teaching. I do a lot of teaching with my music, and I always enjoy doing pads for people and teaching like younger people as well. And I get on really well with kids. Kids are brutal. They say exactly what they think, and like I respect that. You can just it's how you got to find out how they tick and teach them, and how's the best way to teach them, and like that's the fun part of teaching.
Yeah.
Trying to unlock that, but yeah, I would like to do some coaching.
Yeah. Actually, do you know, I think you have quite a good aura about you. I think you could be the welcoming face of being punched in the face. Come on in, kids, get a sore face. No,
it's all. The point is hit and not get hit.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, Mayweather's done that for years, isn't it?
Aye, exactly.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you a bit more about music.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone just knows you as just slugging folk, right? So tell me something about your classical music career. Where's the best place you've played? Who have you played for? Give us some deets.
Well, so I've played, like, travel-wise, I've been to loads of different countries. I've been over in Poland. I've been as far away as India, Mauritius. Played over in Sweden, Ireland, Northern Ireland, France as well, and Germany. I've played in a lot of places. Probably playing in the Royal Festival Hall here in London is one of my highlights. I was playing with over there for that, and it was amazing. I did some work with the St. Petersburg Ballet Theatre.
Oh.
Yeah, which is really probably one of the highlights of my career, actually. I did a month of shows. We did Swan Lake at the Coliseum here in London, and I was playing principal for it, and it was probably one of the best thigns I've ever done.
Yeah.
For sure. It's exciting, you know, and when you're doing ballet or opera, you're in the pit underneath the stage, so you're kind of part of a bigger event sort of thing. It's not just the orchestra, so it's kind of magical.
Yeah.
That's what the best part about it.
That is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. You do all different types of music. One of the most stressful things I've ever done was when we were in Mauritius. They don't have an orchestra. They don't have a classical sort of based orchestra. So like they had a really great jazz group, and we went over there and we were like live on radio, and we were working with this jazz group, and they were just like improv on the spot, live on air. I've never been so stressed in my whole entire life. Like, I was like, I'm a classical musician. Where's the music?
Yeah.
Stressful.
I could get that.
But yeah, that was definitely one of the more stressful things. Also, as a musician, like doing teaching, I love to teach. Not all musicians like to teach, but I really enjoy it. But some of the stuff we've done with kids before, like, they really put you on the spot. You know, get your instrument to make particular sounds or sound like something.
Mm-hmm.
Fun story. There was this little kid in the classroom. He had his hand up for like, he was just busting to ask a question. He couldn't wait. And he said, I've got a question for the bassoon lady. And I was like, Hannah, nice to meet you. The bassoon lady, right? And he says, I want you to make a noise like a crocodile getting his teeth pulled out at the dentist. And I was like, what?
What does
what
that
am I gonna
even?
do? Yeah, but that's one of the most stressful things I've ever been asked, and it was by some 6-year-old kid.
Yeah, kids are.
So yeah, you gotta be on your toes with music. You gotta be able to
So,
improvise in the moment.
What sort of music do you listen to?
So, I am pretty flexible with most things. Like, I quite enjoy all the old school stuff. Like, my dad used to love the Eagles, Bob Dylan, Dire Straits. Big fan of all of that sort of stuff. I'm not really like very good with popular music. I don't mind to listen to it, but I don't know many people.
Yeah.
But I do like to listen to all that sort of old school stuff. That's what I grew up with my dad.
Yeah, I think you know it's the same with me. You kind of have an affinity with songs that you were brought up with, don't you?
Yeah.
I suppose it's kind of the same. You get an affinity of where you were brought up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I take it you stayed in Luss.
Yeah, so we still got the family farm, top of Glenluss, Loch Lomond. So we have a sheep farm there.
Ah.
I still go home there, and I in the summer I'm still expected to go home and help out. It's like I never grew up. So I'm still expected to go and help out on the farm. My two sisters are both in farming. One's in New Zealand right now. She's been in Australia for the last 6 years.
Okay.
But she's in New Zealand, and the youngest one, she's back at home on the farm with my dad, but she does like farm consultancy and stuff like that.
All right.
So yeah, like they both went into farming, but everybody knew I was never going to be a farmer. Like it wasn't for me.
No.
Like I was never going to do that.
No.
But yeah, I'm the odd one out really.
Because it's Luss.
yeah.
I mean, it's a kind of world away from living in London.
Absolutely, but from a really young age, I wanted to live in the city.
Oh, really?
And I'm the weird one in comparison to the rest of my sisters. So both of them, Emma, when she was in Australia, it was 4 hours from the nearest town, and I'm like, how can you live here? There's nothing. There's no Wi-Fi. It's terrible. What is this?
There's no day punch.
I was just like, it's you and a lot of cows. Like
Yeah.
This is mental. But they both love being like in the countryside, off the beaten track, all that sort of stuff. And like probably when I first visited London when I was 11, I decided I wanted to live in London.
Oh, wow.
That's what I decided. So and here I am. You know. So
do you think you'd ever come back up the road?
I will at some point. I miss like Scottish people. I do just miss Scottish people. And I know it sounds daft, but like whenever I hear somebody with a Scottish accent on the tube down here, and I'm like kind of gravitate towards them, 'cause I just want to listen to what they're saying, you know, like hear the accent. And they just got good banter. Like here, people don't quite get it as much.
Nah, do you know, one of my best friends is from Brighton, and he seems to be like sarcasm impaired. Just you say things, and he's like, "Oh really?" And you're like, "Of course not,
No.
you fucking idiot." Do you know what I mean? He's like, "Oh, yeah." And really slow in the uptake. Do you know what I mean? You'll crack a joke,
Yeah.
and you've kind of got to go, "That was a joke, by the way," and they're like,
Yeah,
"Oh yeah."
exactly.
Yeah, not that I'm hating on English people, not at all. But
Well, my coach is born and bred London, so like he's become sort of like honorary Scottish because we've adopted him at home because he's he technically did just train like the first female world champion for Scotland, so he's technically allowed.
yeah,
But like whenever we get up there and we get in the cab or a taxi or whatever, I'm like, don't talk,
don't talk.
just don't talk.
Can you
I'll
do
do
a
it.
Scottish accent?
Nah. When I get angry, apparently when I'm training and fighting, my coach goes, I can't understand what you're saying because I'm shouting at him and it just like his broad comes out and I'm just raging. But like the rest of the time, no. And when I'm home, a wee bit more comes out. But or speaking to Scottish people, a few more things come out. But yeah,
Aye,
no.
because I've noticed you're saying aye, aye,
Yeah, that
aye.
is part of like chat. It does happen quite a lot actually, just normally. But it's funny because my mum was really English. She had a really English accent, and my dad broad Scottish. My two sisters have a Scottish accent, and I don't.
Really?
So I've never had it. Never.
Or even at school you had an English accent?
Never.
That's
No.
strange, isn't it?
Really weird.
That is
So
strange.
yeah. Everyone just goes, "You got a BBC accent, Hannah."
You do have, do you know, it's very question of sport. Do you know,
Yeah, that's it.
yeah, I could see you, I could see you, yeah, definitely.
Misspent you.
Yeah, you can be an Ali McCoy's team. Do you,
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, do you know, when I was saying I was watching some of your stuff, I saw you on, I can't remember what the programme was, but you were talking
Box Nation.
maybe talking about the length of rounds or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably on Box Nation. Yeah.
Can you explain that to me? Because I like to think I'm an intelligent chap, right? However, I had to watch it like 3 times going, I don't understand. So what is it that's different between females fighting and males fighting, first of all?
So, for the guys will fight 3-minute rounds.
Right.
Girls only fight 2-minute rounds.
Okay.
Not by choice. I would happily fight 3-minute rounds. I'm a 3-minute round fighter. It would suit me so much better.
Okay.
But we're told if you want to fight for like a championship belt, it's only 2-minute rounds and no more than 10 rounds. The guys fight for 3 minutes for 12 rounds.
So why?
Because there was some sort of like investigation done about like being dehydrated in the ring.
Oh.
So it meant that we lose more water over the time.
Oh.
So then we're more susceptible to brain injuries, basically.
Well.
But this is being reviewed because in UFC and MMA, for example, the girls fight 5-minute rounds. So like just the same as the guys.
Yeah. That's strange.
Yeah, it's really strange, and there is arguments to say it's just daft, but there are other things that said that it's kind of like, there is some scientific backing behind it, but it needs to kind of be reviewed because nowadays I personally feel that 2-minute rounds doesn't allow us enough time to get going.
Yeah.
So, and it means that a lot of, like, for example, some of my opponents went the distance if I had 3-minute rounds, I would have stopped them. And therefore they wouldn't have taken so much punishment. And there would be more knockouts or stoppages in the girls fighting. For example, like Carissa Shields, a lot of her opponents lasted the 10 rounds, like Femke Herms, but I think it would be better if they had 3-minute rounds because then she wouldn't have lasted 10 rounds and had 10 rounds of being beaten.
Yeah.
She took more punishment than was necessary. But she got through the 2 minutes, had a minute to rest, and then started again.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So it's kind of that it's actually more. You're taking more punishment over a longer period of time. Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand what they're saying about the dehydration thing. That's quite a serious thing, of course. So it does need to be reviewed and looked into again because it's an interesting part. But I know nearly all girls nowadays want to fight 3-minute rounds.
That's interesting. So I've got one last question before we part ways for this evening because I know you got a busy night of chatting to folk ahead of you. Who is your fighting idol? Who's like your guy or your woman even?
Current or past?
Oh, right. We'll do both of them, but give me current first.
Current first. Okay. Probably at the moment, like I love Josh Taylor, massive fan of his.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, huge fan. Also love Canelo. Like just his body work is amazing. Like just I could watch him all day. So those two probably up there. And then past probably I'm a big Gatti fan.
Really?
Massive Arturo Gatti fan. Yeah. It's just somebody that I just really enjoy and to watch, and also Wilfred Benitez as well. Those two are my favourites.
Cool, we'll give him a wee shout out and we put this stuff up online then. You just Hannah the fangirl. I love you guys.
Well, the two of them, like the two ones in now, obviously they're still on social media, but the other two aren't.
Yeah, well, I know. Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
In the past.
Right. Okay. So before we go, do you want to hit us with your social information? Just fire it out.
Yeah. So I made it easy for everybody. My Instagram, Twitter, and professional Facebook page are all team_Rankin.
Okay. Cool. Right. Well.
Nice.
Thanks very much for talking to me. I've really enjoyed the conversation. I've learned stuff.
What more can you ask?
Well, that's it. Usually, because the past couple of times I've spoken to football players and stuff like that, and I kind of know what it is that they're talking about. Whereas I don't know anything about punching folk in the face.
I'm so glad you asked me nothing about football.
Yeah, that's all right. It's cool. But yeah, it's a hot issue. It's a hot topic. Sorry for quite a lot of people, because then there's the who do you support part. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I've done some work with the Celtic professional girls team.
Punching them in the face.
They're the first female team to turn pro in Scotland.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's something you should probably cover. They're the first female team to be fully professional, like a full pro team.
Right. Okay.
So they're full time, and so I was doing some work with them. I went up to visit them when they were training. I've been to their matches. They came to my last fight, which was really cool.
See if you can put us in touch with like the coach or something like that. It would be great to talk to them.
I'll send you some stuff. But yeah, they're great and a really good bunch of girls as well.
Sweet. Actually, also before you go, see if you can have a word with Gary and tell him that you spoke to me, and I still remember him. And I would love to, if he gets some time. I know he's busy, but if you can get some time, I'd love to have him on to talk to us.
He'd happily come on. He's a good talker. He's got some great stories as well.
Well, I'm all about stories, man. I do love an anecdote.
There you go.
Cool. Right. Well, thanks very much, Hannah. And
cheers.
Best of luck for the future. And next time you're fighting, give me a shout, and I will come and wave a saltire.
Exactly. Good.
Right. I'll speak to you later.